People try to make having great movement in Warzone way too complicated. So in this video, I'm going to simplify how to have great movement with only 3 movement techniques that you need to know so that you can win more close range gunfights in Call of Duty Warzone. First, I'm going to quickly cover settings. I'm not going to go through every single one since I already have a dedicated settings video where I do that. So if you are a newer player, you might want to go check that one out first and then come back afterwards. Now, by far the most important setting when it comes to your movement is going to be your button layout. Playing on the default button layout is not optimal unless you're going to do one of 2 things. So myself, I have paddles on the back of my controller, so I play with the default movement because this allows me to slide, jump, do all these things while I can never have to take my thumb off the analog stick. The other option is you learn to play claw, and that's where you take your index finger and you're gonna curl it down and you're gonna hit those action buttons like your slide and your jump. So again, you can aim and move at the same time. Now I get asked a lot, do you need 4 paddles? And I would say no, I think 2 paddles is fine. So me personally, my bottom right's my slide and my bottom left is my jump. My top 2 are my switch weapons or plate and then my reload, but I think these are nice to have 4, but you don't have to have 4 paddles. Now, if you hate playing claw, which personally I can't do, and you don't have a paddle controller like myself, the next best option is going to be in your button layout, at least playing tactical. Tactical is going to make your R3 or your right stick your slide button, so you can slide and aim at the same time. But even better, you'd probably want to do something like bumper jumper tactical. This makes your L1 your jump button. It's a little bit awkward to learn at first, but it is going to be very well worth it so that you can jump and slide while aiming all at the same time. Next is your sensitivity, and honestly, I just want you guys to know that you do not need to play at a crazy high sense in order to have great movement. I play on 1.7 with an ADS multiplier of 0.85 on the dynamic response curve. And I think my movement is quite solid. And a lot of the top players play with a similar sense to this. There's no point to having a crazy high sense if you can't hit your shots. Under your dead zones, you're going to want to also turn down your left stick max dead zone. Anywhere between about 60 to 80 is fine. What this does is it allows you to get to that max movement speed just a little bit faster. Then under sprint assist, playing with tactical sprint assist on with the delay set to 0 is going to be by far the best for smooth, fast movement. But if you hate auto attack sprint, you can turn this to on or off and then go down to your movement advanced settings and make sure that your tactical sprint activation is set to single tap run. That way you only have to press L3 or left stick once to get immediately to that full tack sprint. I recommend turning off all of the different mantle related settings, but under the movement advanced settings, I would turn your grounded mantle on. This makes getting through and in and out of windows way easier, but you're less likely to accidentally climb on top of things with the other mantle settings off. And then lastly, over in your graphics settings under your view tab, I'd highly recommend playing with the max FOV of 120 because it's going to allow you to just see more around you, but also decrease your chances of getting your camera broken. I get asked a lot, do you need a custom pro controller to be really good at Call of Duty? The answer is no, but it does make it a lot easier and you will notice an immediate improvement in your skills most likely. So if you are interested in upgrading, I use an aim controller and I've been using this brand for over 3 years now. They come in PS4, PS5, and Xbox controllers. They've got 4 reprogrammable paddles that you can bind to any of these buttons that you want. They've got the digital tap mouse click triggers that make shooting semi-auto guns way easier. And you can actually toggle these on and off to a full trigger pull if you want. Then we've got the custom analog stick height. So I have a small left and a tall right. Just gives you more precision and accuracy, more room to aim basically. And then my new favorite feature are the TMR sticks. These are a huge upgrade from traditional analog or Hall effect sticks because they feel one-to-one like a normal analog stick would. However, they have the benefit of Hall effects to where they will never get stick drift because you can recalibrate them at any time. And this is allowing me to play on a 0 dead zone and I still have 0 stick drift even after several weeks of playing. But if I did somehow develop it, I could just recalibrate it and set it back to 0 essentially. And my aim and movement has never felt better since I've gotten my new TMR controller. Best part is aim controllers comes with a lifetime warranty on any of the modded parts. So if they do happen to break, you just send it back and you cover the shipping and they'll fix your controller for you. Plus, AIM actually uses officially licensed PlayStation and Xbox controllers, unlike other brands who use third-party knockoffs. And at the time of me dropping this video, AIM is launching a massive sale. The one price promo is back, which caps the price to any controller to $209, meaning you can put every bell and whistle and custom design and make the controller as expensive as you wanted, but my code TCaptainX at checkout will cap the price at $209. And so while other companies are upping their prices due to tariffs and taxes, AIM is actually dropping theirs while providing what I believe to be the best custom pro controller on the market. The link will be in the description, but again, that is code TCaptainX at aimcontrollers.com. All right, so let's now get into some actual movement techniques. And the first and the most important one, which everything really stems from, is sliding. And this particular movement is what I call the aim slide. And this is something that a lot of people get wrong in Warzone because sliding functions different now than how it did in Warzone 1 and 2. So back then, you couldn't aim while sliding. It was just like you slid cancel. That's all you did. You had to do this and then you had to aim. Whereas now we can aim during the slide, and this completely changes things. And the reason we slide is because it's a lot faster to slide and aim than it is just to strafe and aim. It's a lot harder for the enemy to track you. So where most people mess up is they come around a corner, they stop, then they aim. They reactively aim. Instead, whenever you are coming around a corner, we need to be already aiming as we're coming around the corner, because that is going to save us time in getting shots on first, especially with how fast the TTK is in Warzone. To add to this though, your timing of the slide is very important. A lot of people mess this up where they don't start to slide until they're already around the corner. So they're starting about here. So this is wrong. What you want to do is you should be sliding before, so that as you enter that or exit the apex of that corner, you're already aiming at your enemy. And then with that, the centering is very important. So you need to have good control where we're not doing this and then having to correct our aim. It needs to be, we come around and our center dot is roughly at about chest level, and we're aiming down about the center of the lane or hallway that you're coming around. So it's a small micro correction, and then we're easily being able to get shots on our enemy and just kind of do a few ones. So see how easy it is when he just comes running around the corner. If he slides late, it's very easy for me. However, now if he does it the right way and he's already aiming, see how much faster he's able to get shots on me? He's able to start shooting the moment he comes around versus he's not shooting me until he's halfway through, and it's far easier for me to respond back. And the biggest thing I would recommend to everyone is just get in the habit of doing this every time you come around a corner. Even if there isn't an enemy there, when you come around, then it's no harm done, because if you go in lackadaisical and an enemy is there, then you're having to reactively react instead of proactively shoot an enemy. A movement technique that's been around since the dawn of Call of Duty is your traditional jump chow. Now, in this Call of Duty, there is an ADS penalty, meaning when you jump, you get a penalty on how slow your aim down sight speed becomes slower. And just jumping and shooting in this Call of Duty, you can do it, but it's not gonna really do that much. And so this is where we really need to incorporate a slide as well, where we are jumping into a slide and what many people call the G slide. So very similar to the aim slide, instead of just sliding around the corner, we are now going to jump and slide into that. And as you can see, when you land, you get a huge kind of speed boost, and you are gonna go very quickly, meaning you're a very hard target to track. So in order to do this, all you're gonna do is jump and then press slide in midair. You can even hit it, you can hit your slide well before you land. You don't have to worry about timing the slide. And then simultaneously, you're gonna want to also start to aim during all of this. And so the kind of key, again, similar to the aim slide, is gonna be the timing here. You don't wanna come around the corner late and then jump, because again, you're gonna be very easy target. You're too late. We want to be able to start shooting the moment we come around the corner. So realistically, I want to be either at the peak of my jump, kind of the apex of my jump, right around as I come around the corner, or even a little bit before that. Because if I jump well before, I get that huge kind of speed boost. As you can tell, you really pick up a lot of momentum from that. And again, it's just going to be very hard for an enemy to hit me. So Connor, I'll go ahead and have you jump over there and you show. So Connor, do a bad one first. I want you to jump late into it. So jump, do a G slide jumping into it. So that was so jump a little bit later. So as you can tell, if he comes around that corner and then jumps, it's a super easy kill. He's not getting enough of a change. Whereas now, Connor, go ahead and time it. Well, there you go. See how much faster he comes across my screen? It's a little bit more of like a surprise to me, and it's going to be a lot harder for me to react and then shoot back and win a gunfight if I'm on this side of things. And then to add to that, you can also combine this with different, you know, obstacles and downhills. So it's really good to do this. So Connor, stand right about there where I'm shooting. I can do this and I can jump down into, you know, down a hill, downstairs, things like that. And so this is just a really good way to get a lot of momentum and be a very fast moving target and hard to hit. So the third movement technique is going to stem from another kind of staple of Call of Duty, and that is the drop shot. So the drop shot is just where you simply drop to a prone and shoot. The problem is, in this Call of Duty, drop shotting, it is slow. It's not a smooth movement. Your guy kind of goes into a crouch and then prones. And so Connor, go ahead and do a drop shot for me here real quick. As you can see, it's nothing crazy. It's pretty easy for me to track and follow that. With drop shotting, the closer you are to someone, the better it is, because I have to you know, massively adjust my aim. Whereas when I'm farther back, it's a tiny adjustment. It's really easy to do. So again, basic drop shotting, it's okay, but we can again combine this with a slide. And so similar to the last view, go ahead and stand back where you were, Connor, is instead of me just aim sliding or jump sliding, we can now slide into a drop shot. And Connor, I'm actually gonna have you stand a little bit closer because this technique works best when somebody is a little bit closer to you. The farther away you are, the less this is. So if I slide around, I can suddenly stop. And this is very disorienting if timed correctly, because you can completely break someone's camera. And go ahead and do that, Connor, and do that to me. And I want you to kind of slide past me and end up behind me when you drop shot. So when he does that, he completely is gonna end up, one, he's completely breaking my camera like this, but go ahead and do it again. If I turn and look, I'd be looking over here thinking he went past me when in fact he is right below me. So again, this works best in close quarters situations. All you're gonna do to do this is you're going to slide and you're gonna just keep holding your slide button and then you will suddenly come to a stop. This is dangerous though, because stand a little bit farther back, Connor. If I do this and he's way back there, all I'm doing is I'm stopping right in front of him and I'm very easy for him to hit. So instead, this makes more sense for me to do this really up close to him and kind of land right under or behind him. It's just gonna be more disorienting. So in order to combine your G slide into a drop, the drop slide, you can't just jump and hold slide the entire time. You actually have to press it twice. So it's gonna be jump slide, and then once you start the slide, you'll start to hold your slide or your prone button, and then you'll go into that. I don't think you necessarily have to do that, but it is an option. So for all three of these movements, the key is knowing when and how to do them. So let's break it down a little bit. The most obvious is, like we've been showing, when you expect an enemy is gonna be around a corner, and you can really do any three of these. I would say personally, the G slide, the jumping slide, is gonna be my favorite because I think you are the fastest moving target, but it takes the most to set this up, right? You need to start your jump well before in order to kind of make this the most effective. Whereas, let's say I'm in the open. So Connor, come over here with me in the open here. Let's say I'm doing my thing and, you know, come out from this way, that way you're surprising me or whatever. So let's say Connor comes out in the open here, so go ahead. And it's like, oh crap, here's an enemy. I could, of course, just stand and shoot. There's nothing wrong with that. If he misses shots, I hit better shots, that's fine. But Connor, go ahead and come out like you kind of already know I'm here, like kind of pre-aim and start shooting at me a little bit. So if he knew I was here in a situation like that, if I try to just turn and shoot, I am most likely going to lose if he kind of gets the jump on me. So this is where, even though we're in the open, we can still execute one of these three movements. And so the most simple is going to be just, you know, your basic slide. The key here though, is I don't want to just slide right at him. So go ahead and come out, Connor. I don't want to just slide right at him. It's not like it's completely useless, but what's going to be best is I want to slide where I am trying to be moving across his screen as much as possible. So go ahead and come out, Connor. So if he comes out, I'm going to try to turn to the side. And so what you'll see I do here is I'm doing a little bit of, I'm pressing laterally on my left stick, and I can do just a straight lateral slide, or I can get some momentum and I can turn and get a little bit more momentum, because you will get a little bit farther of a slide if you do that. So go ahead and Connor, come out at me again. So I get caught off guard. So I'm just moving, and then bam, I do a quick slide, and then that's gonna throw him off. And go ahead and do it again, Connor. So I could also do this in a G side where I could jump into it. And this is where when you're fighting multiple people, you're doing things and you're just trying to constantly be a moving target. However, you have to balance the opportunity to be able to shoot back, because you could have the craziest movement you want, it doesn't matter. If we are not shooting back, your movement is all about just throwing off your enemy's aim and setting you up to shoot back. So again, I get caught off guard, you know, maybe I'm close, I drop into a slide drop shot, I just slide laterally, maybe he's really close to me, I try to slide across his camera. So this is where, when you're in very close quarters, you know, if I'm in front of someone and he comes around the corner, I'm gonna try to slide behind him like that, forcing him to turn around. This is, again, you know, you can mix in the drop shot, you can mix in the G slide, and you can mix in all three of these. And the key is just to make it as hard as a possible target to hit. So the last thing I want to make sure that I'm reiterating, this is something I've talked about a lot in my other videos, is you should never, you know, when we are doing these movements, notice how it's never like I just do a movement and then I stop shooting. The key is that we need to be combining these with strafing. So after I execute a movement, I am keeping pressure on my left stick. My favorite way to combine these is personally to go into one and then start strafing back the other way. So, you know, you would slide one way and then you start strafing the other way. And this, again, is going to be just very hard to track because you are constantly moving direction. So the key is make sure to be strafing with that left stick. It's also going to help you get better aim assist as well. And then one other thing to add too is don't forget about your melee. Of course, being, you know, with your melee is not going to help you in a fight. But let's say I am low plates or I need to reload, I need to get away. If I switch to my melee, I'm going to be able to move faster from point A to point B. But also a big change they did this season was whichever gun you have out when you start plating is what controls the movement speed while you are plating. So if I started plating with my SMG, then it would be fine. I would still have good movement speed. But let's say I'm trying to run away from him. If I switch to my melee and then start plating, I'm gonna actually have faster movement speed and I'll be able to create more of a gap, get replated and reset that fight before I need to, you know, re-challenge and get into a fight with him. One thing that I didn't really cover much in the video was diving, and diving I don't really ever use in fights, but diving can be important from getting from place to place. So traditionally, if I were to just run and jump and pull my parachute, I cannot make this jump. But if I time this correctly and I dive and quickly pull, I then can all of a sudden make a jump like this and get across the rooftop. And even somewhere like this, where this ledge is actually taller than me, if you time it right, you actually can make this jump if you quickly dive and pull that parachute. You will actually pull your parachute and be at a higher level than when you started. So again, diving, very useful for getting, you know, across rooftops and whatnot. And finally, what is the best way to actually practice all this stuff? Of course, you can just practice in game, but probably the best option is if you own the Black Ops 6 multiplayer, if you go into creating a private match. Under game setup, do free for all for the map. I think going all the way over to the left and doing Babylon is probably your best bet for practicing movement because it's generally the smallest map. Time limit, score limit, you can set that however you see fit. I normally do 250 health because it's closer to Warzone health. Sometimes I turn health regen up to fast. And then for gameplay, I'll just turn score streaks off. It doesn't really matter much. And then go over kind of behind my webcam here and make sure you add bots. Normally just doing recruit is fine because in this game, the regular bots actually are pretty good and will kill you very quickly. And then just queue in, and this is normally how I normally kill about 50 bots as a warm up. And normally on top of that, I will usually turn aim assist off. And that's also one of the main ways how I practice my aim before I jump in and play actual games. If you don't own multiplayer, I would say probably Plunder would be your next best bet. You're going to get a lot of fights against real players. Of course, you could do something like BR Casual or Resurgence Casual when it comes out as well. It would be also good ways to kind of practice your different movement skills against bots and lower skilled players. Movement is one of the three main pillars of being a great Call of Duty player, but if you suck at aiming, movement is useless. So go check out my aim guide to learn how to get stronger aim assists and be more precise with your aim.